our FP 9.1 reports webinar. So once again, if you've been a part of these webinars in the past, we will be recording this and we'll make it available to our community help site before the end of today. As we go through the webinar, will you please post any questions that you have to the GoToWebinar questions module. What we'll be doing is keeping track of all of the questions that come up, and I'll be answering those throughout. Chris will go over the ones that we have time to go through today. And the other thing that we're going to do, because we've had such interest in this webinar on reports, is we're going to have one or two webinars specifically on reporting and some of the questions that have come up through this webinar in October. So please post any questions that you have. Because we have so many reports in the system, we're going to be going through a number of things today, and what we'll be doing is coming up with a short list of things to go through in future webinars. So once again, you're lucky to have our president and founder, Chris Wilson, that will be going through all of the reporting with us today. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Chris.
It's very polite of you, Tate, saying president and founder. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to show a picture of myself, but we were worried that that our little picture software here on the Mac that I work with was messing up our GoToWebinar sessions in the past. So until we get the visuals through our GoToWebinar sessions itself, I just want to let you know that there are people here at this end, and we thank you very much for joining us. Welcome. We're very pleased to have participants from across North America joining us this morning for our webinar, this afternoon, of course, Pacific and Eastern Time. FP 9.1, an informative review of reporting using FunctionPoint. It's great to see our number of clients participating. We've had an excellent turnout. Thank you so much. You're certain to improve your understanding of the system by joining in on the reviews that we're trying to do. The feedback that we've received since upgrading to version 9.1 in August has been very, very positive. And during these last weeks, we've added a few new items that I'll point out today as we go through FunctionPoint. But our primary goal today is to review FunctionPoint reports and reporting methodology. So that is that we're going to look at both on-screen, real-time views of important information relative to the roles that may find this information of value. So as I go through things, I'll try and speak towards some of our different client user personas and speak to that. But I'm also going to review ad hoc find routines within the modules of the system and talk to specific times where this information could be of value. So you'll notice that number 2 on my billets, I speak a little towards that. Lastly, we have quite a number of common or more popular reports within the system, well, reports in general, and I'm going to review some of the more popular ones of those and take us through that. As usual, Tate is monitoring today's webinar, and he will try and answer as many of the questions that come in through your GoToWebinar control panel as possible. And we'll also see if we can take and answer some of them as we finish things up. But we have had tremendous interest in this, and as such, we're looking at trying to plan some further reviews. Secondly, we're recording the webinar, and we will have it posted on our community help. For those of you that are not familiar with the community help, it is available through the SuperNav in the very top of your FunctionPoint. Please create a profile for yourself in there, save it to your computer, and log in regularly. We're providing lots of information there, and both videos, training documentation, and updates on new features. Of course, we'd like to mention our LinkedIn group. We provide information to our user community through this group, and we encourage you to join. Simply search for FunctionPoint and join up. Webinar upgrades and other valuable information is being shared through the group, and I want to thank Leonardo here at FunctionPoint for really driving the LinkedIn activities. I respect that your time is valuable, and I thank you for joining us today. My goal is to get through this webinar in the next 35 to 40 minutes. And then take some questions from there. We do have a lot to cover today, so I may jump around a little bit on some of the specific reports, but let's see what we can get through in that time frame, and then we'll pick up from there in some of our future webinars. So as you can see on screen, I've got a bit of an agenda for us that I'm going to be following today. I'm going to take us through a real-time view of data that we have in FunctionPoint. You know, one of the primary reasons for working with our product is that you can get insights into information in real time. I'm going to point out the job financial pages, and I'm going to talk a little bit towards some of the reporting that's available for individual jobs. I'm going to go through the task and to-do page that we have added to the system. It is a takeoff of the dashboard task and to-do, and I want to point that out and point out a new feature that Trevor has developed that we are experimenting with and looking for feedback on. I'm also going to show our resource utilization, so load balancing of tasks and that aspect of things. And I prepared a little sample to show you how we can move some tasks around between different individuals. Under ad hoc searching within Function Point, of course, many of you are familiar with the find, list view capability across the different modules of Function Point. And I'm going to point out a little bit of that today with regards to the context of the production meeting, invoicing that you might need to do for a client, pulling monthly sales figures, as well as reviewing and posting of timesheets. So just some simple real-life examples. And then some of the more common reports that are through our reports module. Tate went through earlier this summer and reorganized all of the reporting section into a series of different sections: analyze, jobs or dockets, planning, CRM and sales, etc. And I'm going to pull through that, and I don't have time today to go across every report, but we are going to review a number of them that I have listed. And then depending on time, we'll take a look at some new reports that are fundamentally finished that we now are starting to prepare to roll out across each of the systems in our across our user group. So an estimate revision, another invoicing report for fiscal year that shows by job type and staff, a timesheet review that allows you to find individuals that are, of course, being tardy with their timesheets, and a new prospecting report. So there's a few of those. I'll just move this off to the side. Thank you for allowing me to do that introduction. It allows me to get into the state of mind as well for the webinar, so thank you. So on screen, real-time views of data, namely our job financial page. Of course, when you log into Function Point, you're familiar with being able to see the list of all of the jobs or active jobs that you have in your jobs insert. Of course, many of our Canadian clients do call them dockets, so of course that will be in place for yourself with regards to the naming conventions. You can select the job name within Function Point, and that will drive you into the detail page for the job. But if you choose the job number in the tool, it will take you into our job financial page. And this is a great way for an individual administrator or the account executive for a specific client to quickly drive into the specific financial page for that job. And that user can do further drill-ins on this information. So of course you see here how we have estimated quantity, we have the value of those estimated items, all from the estimate. We have the actuals, which come from timesheets as well as any external purchase orders that you may be working with. We have a new cost column that we've added to the chart. And this picks up based on your client or your staff cost rates that are put in under their individual detail page. Now, of course, this is privilege-based, and you'll find the privilege to turn this cost column on inside your specific privilege page if you're an administrator. We have the actual value of amounts that are associated with the bill-out rates, variances from those, and invoice amounts coming off the far column. Of course, our plus or minus allows us to get a bit of insight. Did we invoice this based on actuals? Or did we invoice it based on estimates and the variances accordingly? Now, of course, we can drill in further to these, and this is where it comes in really handy with regards to an administrator or someone who finds that timesheets are needing to be reviewed and potentially need to be switched to a different job. So you can come into this particular screen and you can see each individual timesheet. Now, once a timesheet's been billed, we do not recommend that you start moving it around. But prior to billing, you can choose these individual items and you can move them to other jobs. So here you can see I selected this particular entry from September 9th for Dennis Chow for 3.5 hours, and it was against this job direct mail cards. Since it's been previously billed or applied to an invoice, I can't move it at this point, but I could adjust it or change the description or update the description should I need that for any kind of report or printout purpose. So very handy, and of course you can drill through if there are specific purchase orders that have been done against the job. You can also navigate directly to them from this particular screen. So the job financial page, a really handy and important place within Function Point to get real-time updates. But on the jobs, in the past, prior to our update earlier this year, all of these particular reports that you see under the Report tab were available through icons, across this top section. And we've tried to move them into a tab to make just the system cleaner and to allow us to put larger explanations as to what these items are. I'm going to go over the status report now rather than later in the presentation. This all-in-one status report provides us with a detailed view of all entries associated with this job. It provides us with an expanded summary view as a second page and a summary review of internal and external fees. So let me just select this. It comes up as a PDF, and it gives you an audit level review of what's gone on with this particular piece of work. Notice it's telling us the client, the name, the type of job it is, the description of it, and then you can see each individual entry that's been done by your different staff people, to what phase and to what service, the external expense items, as well as you can see here, some shipping-related costs that have been assigned. It takes those at all of your billing rates and provides you with totals, and if you have taxes assigned to this particular job, it will calculate the tax values based on the configuration of taxes to the individual elements. So a really nice first page. If I scroll down, you'll see a second page. This is the expanded summary report, and it fundamentally is the on-screen view that I've just shown to you. So it shows you the estimated amounts with regards to time put in. It shows you the estimated value. It shows you the actuals that were related to those elements. And it shows you the variances from estimate to actual and then invoiced amounts. The final column is showing itself as blank in the top section because we invoiced this job to the actual amounts. So hence, actual to invoice variance remains 0, other than, of course, here under the shipping amounts. So a really valuable report, nice combination. The third piece just separates internal from external related expenses on the job. And, of course, separating shipping if you are using the shipping module. So the piece here, just breaking it down, again, at a high level. So an excellent overview. These can be printed. They can be stored and held with the job accordingly. And that can really assist in just doing an audit on any work. Good. There's a couple of other items here that I'll just speak to. The detailed job printout is for those companies that still use a physical job jacket. The printout of team members allows you to, on jobs that may be longer in duration with a number of freelancers or external people, to provide a printout that you could distribute and circulate as all of the people that are involved in the work. The batch status expanded summary report, I'm going to go over a little later. This allows you, it's a great way to look at a job and to just filter it based on dates to see what type of work has gone on in it if you're doing interim billing on a piece of work. So again, speaking towards people building invoices and such. CSV of export of details allows you to export all the details out to work with in Excel and to review and manipulate accordingly. We've got some other reports here that I encourage you to go through and take a look at. And if you're working with timelines and such, of course, we have our classic Gantt chart of the timeline available here as well. So please drill into the job, take note of the Reports tab, and I encourage you to drill through and look at some of the different options that are available here. Back to the main dashboard. I'm going to have to speed up, aren't I, if we're going to get through everything on the list. We've added a new feature since the update in early August, and that is the task and to-do view has been expanded to be a full screen viewable item that can be manipulated and changed. And we've done a few things here to allow a project manager or a traffic manager to look across different individuals, see what they are working on, and to filter and view that information accordingly. So of course here you could see that we've added this new item called Select Staff, and I've got this currently set to view things for myself. The second tab is to set whether I want to look at things that are assigned to me or assigned by me. Perhaps I want to look at things that are assigned to and by me, or to my role, because roles are becoming more of an important aspect within the tool and allows a sharing of tasks across individuals. So the second tab allows you to control the view. The third one allows you to look at specific tasks based on the status or the type or different information that you can see in this drop-down. Personally, I like to work with open and start before tomorrow, and you'll notice that this will provide a short list, none, that are in the system. So some of these items I've been playing with the date parameters and are there. So, and then the third column, as you can see, we've put in a small hint or clue as to different ways that you can search. If I put in here 30180 as a job number and tab out of that, it shows me just the jobs that I have that fit those descriptions to that specific job. So some great ways to look at information in this view. But I want to pull up and show you this Select Staff piece, because a project manager is not necessarily interested in looking at their own information. They may want to look at people across the studio and what they're working on at any particular time. So I could come in here and select different individuals, and it would then come in and show me, and I'll just remove the filter to job, show me all of the activities that those different staff people may be working on. And I believe I can come in here and filter it right now. You'll see it's filtered by job, which might be a nice way to view things. You could also filter it by the staff or the person that they're assigned to, and that will change the order of these items. And do keep in mind that your staff people can now also make a timesheet against the task from this particular view. So that pulls up the add timesheet. It ensures that their time gets allocated directly to the specific job and allows us to view things accordingly. Now, drill in or view details from the particular job is available. You can also, or excuse me, task, you can also view the job name, and by selecting this particular column, drill into the detail for the job rather than the task. So navigation to the task under the task title, navigation to the job under the job title. One of the last on-screen views that I want to point out as one of our manager or management views is the resource link. When you're engaged with tasks and tasking in Function Point, the resource link allows you to view tasks that have been allocated to different individuals across a time frame looking forward. It does take in the work calendar aspects of the system, so you can see that in this case Mike has been set up to be working 8 hours a day, and he's just set up to work 4 days next week. Now, I wanted to just sort of set the stage as, you know, what if Mike called today and said that he's going to be out of the office for the next few days for personal reasons? Well, you can come in here and potentially look at those things that have been assigned to Mike, and I'm just going to shrink the screen down because I want to point out how you can see I selected Friday with the 8 hours. And you can see that it's pulled up for me that Friday consists of two particular items that have been assigned to Mike for job 30180 and 30184. Well, if we know that he's not going to be about, we could come in here and we could particularly look at other people with skill sets that are similar to Mike that may or may not have allocations of time. The green represents allocated time. Red shows time that has been where he is over-allocated, and of course you can also look at forward-looking views of this information. So I'm going to just simply come in and I'm going to take Mike's tasks and I'm going to assign them to two of the other people that are both studio technicians. Notice the role. I'm going to submit that item, and it will simply reallocate those, as you can see, to Quinn down in this lower section and to Leonardo up in the upper section. So it's a great way to do resource balancing and load balancing of the work effort that you have assigned to people. When you're working on job planning and task management, it's a great place to come in and see just what you have allocated to other individuals. Good. So that's it for the first section of just showing real-time views on screen. Of course, there's many other on-time views, and that's really the part real-time views of information, and that's really the ad hoc searching within the different modules of Function Point. I want to set up the context of a weekly production meeting. When you're, of course, in a business where things are changing so quickly, being able to see a view of all of the open work that you have on the go at any time is really very, very valuable. And you can come into Function Point, and I'm just going to turn off this editable list for a moment, and potentially look at, what are all the jobs that I'm responsible for that are currently active. And when I select the Find Active icon here, it's going to put status values of open all into play and show me all of the open job, regardless of the sub-status that they may be in open. That's production or with a client or on hold. And I've specifically chosen to look at jobs that I'm responsible for. You can see the AE was CW for Chris Wilson. It's showing it with a sort order based on date. So it's showing me those items that are based on date. And this particular view of the jobs I'm responsible for are showing the financial view. So again, a very high-level view of what the estimate was, what the actuals are on that job to date, and what the variance is from estimate to actual. So how am I doing? So here I can see I'm already $300 over value. Here I've got $2,800 left. This must be a job that is due the soonest and, of course, looks like the most amount of effort still to be done. Moving forward, we can see the invoiced column, so invoiced amounts, and then a plus minus from the actual to the invoiced amounts. So again, really good quick insight into the financial wherewithal associated with each of these jobs. And if I just point out again, I can select the job number, and that would take me to the financial page. If I choose any of the other values in blue, it would take me to the job detail page showing the contacts on the job. So a couple of quick shortcuts there. The job financial page, select to take to the job detail page. But I want to point out where I would likely want to go if I wanted to update information for the job printout, the job list by client printout. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to once again choose myself, but this time I'm going to use the editable list. And this was a view that we put in from helping one of our clients in Winnipeg deploy, where there is an opportunity to put updated data onto the list view for the particular jobs that you're working on. So the users can come in here, myself, if I'm responsible for these jobs. I can update this description field. I can change the status of the job. I can update any dates if I need to. And I can produce for myself a job list by client. And this particular report shows a listing of the information that I need to bring to that weekly meeting to talk about where we are with regards to my jobs. And you'll notice that on the report, as well as on screen, are the hours and the estimate, actual, and variance amounts associated with those hours. So each job can be reviewed from a production perspective and provide the insights that are needed to just make sure that things are staying on track. Excuse me, I'm just going to... Now, at that production meeting, I also recommend, and we also like to recommend, that a work in progress or a review of the financial aspects of everything that's going on in the office also be brought. So individual account executives may bring their list of open job work, but the accountant or the person responsible financially may want to come in and actually bring in the estimated versus actual versus invoiced for all jobs that are on the go in the operation. And, oh, you know what? I had that occur last time. I'm just going to come back. Let me try that again. And select Submit. And this is going to produce for us a PDF document that is an overview of the finances across all open jobs. It's sorted by client, And it shows for us the name of the job, the client. It tells us what the actual billable values are of all work done to this work to date are. It tells us what the estimated amounts are, again, both external and internal, and it gives us a variance on those amounts. You can see the dollar values associated with any invoices, and fundamentally, you can get a look out from estimate to actuals as to how much still needs to be invoiced on this job. And we've got a handy little item here that just tells you how old the job is. So, for instance, I might come down here and say, look at this, 200, 300 days old. What's going on with these? Do we need to deal with them accordingly? So, accountants bringing the work in progress reports, account executives bringing the individual job reports from the list views. So there's another little report that we added, and it had been called the Batch Status Expanded Summary Report. And it was a report that was put in place to allow people who are doing interim billing on a monthly basis to quickly find and see just what had occurred across the jobs for that client within the defined period of time or since the previous interim invoice. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to do an example where I find all the open jobs that I have for one of my customers. And I'm going to just put in Kings for Kingsgate, and I'm going to select that Find Active. Now, Find Active is the same as holding down your Shift key and choosing the different status values across Open, Production, and Completed. Completed job, from a status perspective and function point, is intended to be those that are prepared and ready for billing. And so you can do it manually using your Shift key and choosing, or you can select the Find Active to trigger a particular set of activities. I'm going to choose the Find routine, and it shows to me that there are 2 jobs that are on the go. And again, it brought me to the Production Manager's view. I'm going to just redo that find, removing that editable list, putting in the company I'm interested in. So just to refresh everyone, selecting Find, and it takes me to the results of that list, now showing the dollar value reviews that have gone on against this job. Now, this gives me a nice high level, but let's say I want to see the detail. Right here, under this list view, you can see the Batch Status Expanded Summary Report. And when I choose this, it provides me with some filters that I might want to put in associated with dates or build status or dates only. And there's some options here. I'm going to just suggest that I want to look at all activities to both of these jobs up to and including today. And I slip that amount in. Of course, date fields allow you to use the comments such as today or tomorrow and such. And I'm going to select Submit. And what I receive is that status report that we had been looking at earlier, but it would only filter against the dates that I had entered. And you can see here that it shows all of the details that are in play across this job, and I'll be quick on this because we've seen it. But it would tell me basically, it would tell me basically if I was doing an interim invoice on this job, how much work has been done since the start date that I entered up to the date that I've finished. The second column will tell us that summary, much like what you had seen on screen before, and it repeats itself for the next job in the list. So that's the beauty of this report. It allows you to create a PDF for yourself to review all of the jobs that you have on the go within the found set of information. And in this one, of course, it does show a previous invoice amount and tells us that we're still just about $300 ahead of the actual amounts that are on the go. Good. So a nice way. This is something that I know is used regularly by clients that do a lot of interim billing. Pulling monthly sales figures by account executive. Imagine ourselves wanting to get a sense as to, what commissions do I have to pay somebody? Perhaps you have that on the go. There's typically been a find routine across each of the modules. And on these find routines, you have, of course, the different values that you can choose that are in play. And you could come in here and, again, choose any of your specific account executives, and then put in a date range that's associated with the invoices for that person. So if you're dealing with a monthly kind of a calendar on this, we might come in here at September 1, and we use the range command, which is the 3 dots. You'll notice under our search tips, it's called the between command. So items that have been created with an invoice date between September 1 and September 30th. And if I tab out of the field, it should format for you. I caution you on going over year boundaries on this because it will default to the current year, for instance. So if I wanted to go back to December, or if I wanted to go to January of next year for some reason, I would need to make sure I put in 2012. But entering these kinds of values, selecting Find, allows us to see the resulting list view. So again, this is available in all of the modules, and I'm taking a bit of an assumption that many of you have done this type of work already. From here, we have a simple printout to a PDF, and it shows us, in this case, subtotal amounts across this with details of each individual invoice. I can also take this amount, and I'll just slide it off to the side here, excuse me, and I could potentially output this to CSV, and that's creating for me a CSV file. Oh, there it is. And, excuse me, this is from some work earlier, a CSV file showing detailed information about each of those invoices. And you can see here that if you take a look, it shows the company, the job name, the type, tells us information about whether it's been zero balanced or paid, as well as information around payment dates, tax amounts, etc., that are associated with each of these items. So again, allowing you to go in and do quite a bit of ad hoc work around the invoices that have been found in the found set. Good. We often get questions about posting timesheets. So I thought I would just take a review with you on the posting of timesheets within the system. Again, it's a simple find and viewing of timesheets in the timesheet module. So I could come in, and again, I'll use myself as the staff person that's being investigated, because I need to be investigated quite regularly, and working then with the date range that you might want to be taking a look at. In this case, I'll do September 1, again, use that between command, the 3 dots, and today. Let's just see how good I've been at doing my timesheets, and I select Find, and you can see that it produces for us a resulting list view. And this resulting list view here at the top, you can see it shows 1 to 29 of 29 items, so they are all here. They've been sorted by date. Notice the little small arrow showing that they've been sorted by date. And, of course, I can then just scroll through them and review them. We've made an adjustment where the descriptions associated with these are visible on screen, and you can see the posting status. Red shows that it's not posted. A green element shows that it has been posted. And a user can come through and look at these items accordingly, and if they're satisfied with these elements, they can simply come up to the top and select to post all timesheets. The items that I spoke of earlier, the PDF printout and export to CSV, it's showing a MAS90 export for clients using MAS90, as well as post all timesheets or unposting of timesheets. These post and unpost elements are privilege-based actions. So again, if they're not showing for yourself, you will find under your administrative privilege section the opportunity. Now I'm just going to select to post this. Gives us a little warning. You're about to post 29 timesheets. I'm going to select OK. And it says, oh, 1 was posted. Only 28 were posted in this activity. That's perfectly fine by me. So good. So for those of you that want to post timesheets, the beauty of these being posted is that the individual, in this case, Chris Wilson, cannot make adjustments to these unless they have actually the privileges to do so. So a valuable little insight there. So that's an example of 4 situations where you may want to come into the system and do a review of specific information within each of the modules. You know, I often use examples such as coming in and finding all of the prospects or all of the clients. That's another ad hoc view that may be of value. You could come in and look for invoices, and we're really working to assist our clients in being able to find all estimates, not invoices, estimates that may have been submitted to clients versus those that have been approved or declined again by perhaps an account executive, or as we've done today, simply coming in to look at all jobs that are active and on the go through the job find with the financial information. So lots of excellent information in real time at your fingertips, and I encourage you to get comfortable with that ad hoc searching. So we've come in, we're at 10:35, and I've got a few reports that I would still like to get through. The reports section, as I spoke of earlier, has been reorganized, and Tate's gone through and done a lot of work on this. I'm just going to choose the reports tab itself, and it takes us into that first tab under Analyze. I'm going to focus today on the gross profit and the profit analysis reports here. I'm going to just show under Jobs quickly the cost report. Under Planning, I want to show a couple of options to you, and then also I think I'll jump through and just go to the time reports at this point. I did already show the Work in Progress report, which is quite valuable, so with no further ado. Good. So our gross profit report for all jobs. This is a report that's a legacy report. It's been in the system for quite some time. It allows you to take a look at the profit analysis of jobs based on those that have been closed within the dates that are put in on this report parameters. So if I put in here September 1 to September 30th, it's going to find all jobs that have been closed or invoiced within that period of time, and it's going to present them to me. Excuse me. Not sure why that's coming up. This is our production server, by the way. It's not our main server. September 1 to September 30th, and select Submit. So it pulls up a listing of all of the jobs, as I said, that have been invoiced or closed within the dates that are entered. And it shows to us information around the job number, who it's for. Of course, screen real estate and printout real estate is expensive here, so we have the codes that are associated with these, the name of the job, and then we have the cost values. One of the most important things that you can do to get value out of the majority of the reports in Function Point is to put in cost values for each of your staff people on an hourly basis. And that will then start to produce for you gross margin and profit-related reports that we have built in the system. If you see, we have here the costs associated, and I'll just use this one job with this particular piece of work at $6,500. And that would be, because it's under internal, that would be timesheets as well as perhaps any high-resolution printouts or other of your internal expense items. Under this next section, you see the actual value at bill-out rates for that particular work, and then you see how much has been invoiced against this work. Of course, if there's shipping, taxes, etc., and then ultimately, what is the gross profit that's associated with this? So gross profit is, in this case, revenue less the direct cost of that staff person. And then we have a last column, which is the variance between what was invoiced and what was the estimate on this job. So you can see we have invoiced not quite 95% of the estimate on this piece of work. So a really valuable report. I encourage you to jump in and to pull this out on a monthly basis after you've finished your invoicing and take a look at how that works for each of your clients. The profit analysis report is intended to provide similar information, except it's done to an output to XML, which allows you to work with it inside Excel. And you can come in here and you can look at a variety of options or opportunities. So this also allows you to look at jobs that may still be open and not yet invoiced, or jobs that have been closed and invoiced. You can choose to work with this in a fashion that you're comfortable with. You can look by account executives. There's just a number of options that allow you to put in information for the resulting found set. So I'll select OK on that, and it comes up as an item next door. And because it's an XML file, it's asking you, do you actually want to open this? Now, this is quite a bit of information, and I'm just going to highlight one particular job. Again, the information on who it's for, the number, the name, etc., is all available. And then we have the different sections that you can see, actual cost to date, estimated, billable. These are showing the costs, $14.24, the, excuse me, it's my mouse, the estimated billable on this job from the estimated, this is based on the billing rates that are assigned to these items. If I scroll along, you can see the actual billable to date. So this is the value of the billable amounts put to the job to date. Under the invoice to date, of course, what are the invoices that have been done? And then we have further down the row some columns that are kind of summaries. So what is the variance between invoice versus estimate? So here we can see that that the invoice amounts are being compared to the estimated amounts, and that we've invoiced actually 105% of the original estimate. What's the invoice to actuals? Well, here we can see we're minus 66. So we actually have $66 more in value, or we're only invoicing 98.6% of the actual value of work done to date. The potential profit, and what is our actual gross margin on this particular job. So a really valuable report. It's a little bit long, but it does allow you to look at jobs that are in progress, across account executives. There's a lot of information here. And again, I encourage you to take a close look at this. Okay, good. So next on my list is the cost report. Earlier I've shown you the status report and the expanded summary. I showed you the combined item off the individual page, but we also have a cost report that allows you to look at a job, 30182 I believe is the number I've been looking at, and to see what are my hard costs, what are those costs on that specific job. So if you haven't seen them off the gross profit report or those others, you can look at the individual detail and you can see your cost rates for each of your staff associated with their billable time. And if you see a zero or an empty amount here such as this may reflect that that person does not have a value put in for them in their configuration. So that information is done. I'll quickly show that to you. Under the admin section, under rates and staff management, looking under a particular staff person, staff rates and privileges, if I were to drill in to my detail page, then on this particular staff detail page, you can see the hourly cost. And this figure is intended to be in relationship to the person's cost to you per hour in your studio. Some clients include markups for benefits packages. We even have some clients that have put in amounts here that may relate to overheads that are associated with their space. But fundamentally, we're trying to get you into a place where you can calculate accurate gross profit percentages against your different jobs. Under the planning tab, let me keep moving. We have some different reports in here. The available staff resources, the staff utilization. These reports allow you to look at staff that you have and to, again, turn and say, how has this staff person done with regards to achieving our goals for billable hours within a particular period of time. And that information, again, comes out as an XML report, so it will allow you to open it up in Excel and to look at it accordingly. And I'll just open this up, and I'll just increase the size a little so we can see things. And I'm going to just pick Leonardo as my example. You can see that this breaks your team members down into groups, and it allows you to see individuals. It allows you to see what their target percentage was, which, based on the work calendar, will produce an available hours and a target number of hours that this individual is hoping to do in the period of time that's being defined. It then tells us how many hours the individual's actually worked, their total billable hours. So here we can see Leonardo is doing a great job, and at the total non-billable hours over into this in this particular column. So it's a great way to look closely at individual staff and to get a sense. There are some setup here where you could have an internal job that may be billable, and hence why you see internal and external billable jobs. And I just encourage you to understand some of the different columns accordingly. Good. Great report. I'm going to keep moving along around the staff efficiency reports. And they are under the time section. Of course, we always want to see how our staff are doing regarding overall billability. And the efficiency reports are intended to assist with just that. Here we can put in, again, September 1 to September 30th and tab out of it. The report's going to provide information on the efficiency of the staff and the number of jobs they've worked on, their billable hours, etc. So let me just review this with you. I'll increase the size a little. This is a listing of all active staff that are in your system. It tells us, for instance, how many jobs they've touched in the period of time, or how many jobs have they done timesheets against in the period of time being investigated. It shows to us their hours and the total hours that they put in, as well as what has been non-billable and billable. So again, you can see here someone achieving some excellent percentage billables at 100%. Of course, that may not, and is typically not realistic, but based on where their time has been going, these calculations will occur. And I should just point out that the time that an individual puts into the system is considered non-billable if on the job the billing status is set to non-billable. So you'll notice on each job detail page a status associated with the job, and the billable component, the billing status of that job will control whether timesheets from that job will be put into the non-billable column. As well, if you have services in function point that are configured as being billable at a 0 value, so the bill out rate is 0. Let's say you have something such as errand or equipment maintenance. When that staff person does time against that particular service, if it's 0 valued, it would show again as non-billable. The percentage, the dollar values of the billable hours this person's done, there's that cost figure again. And this, again, is based on this person's hourly rate, what you're paying them, plus a markup that is respectable for benefits, and multiplied against their total hours. This column will only show in these reports if you have been set up, again, with the privileges to see costs. That's the same as the value that we showed on the job financial page at the beginning of our presentation. We have a variance between that and, of course, what is ultimately the net effective multiplier for this particular staff person across the time period being investigated. 864 is fantastic. Frankly, if you're in the 300 to 400% markup range, that's really where you need to be as a minimum. So some great calculations and some items that can benchmark yourself. Now, we also show the same information by individual staff person. So if I came in, I could choose one person, say such as myself or Anita, whatever the case might be. I can leave it blank, and I can put in, again, from a date range to a date range. And this will allow me to produce a report. Oh, it's producing one, I think, for each individual. I should have picked one person. Okay, good. So here is one. It's come up for Chris Wilson. It's by myself. It's showing that I'm the one who's created it. It's been created for DJ Rana. This report is really 2 reports in one. The top section shows all of the services that this individual has been putting their time to. So DJ's put 10 hours to copywriting and editing. There are no non-billable hours on that service. It shows the value of the work, his cost, and what his markup is, again, on that item. If I scroll down, though, amalgamates it and shows that same information across all of the jobs that he's touched during the month of September, the dates that I had entered. And it shows me that he's put in 23 hours on this POP, he's put 78 on the website design, et cetera, et cetera. And it breaks down those amounts, again, across each of these elements accordingly. So it's really two reports in one, and I'll just shrink it down so you can get a sense as to what I'm speaking of. The top being the detail associated with the time that he's entered, and the lower section being the time allocated to and summarized by each job. So pretty valuable. I know that this is something we're being asked of regularly, and I hope that it's a report that you're familiar with, and we'll now start to work with accordingly. Now I've got a few of these open because it does open one of these for each of the client, each of the staff, and I should have just selected one staff person. There we go. And I'm back to the time-related areas. Now, payroll hours. Payroll hours is something that we often want to pull out, and this allows us to ultimately take a look at just how your staff is doing with regards to entering time. If I put in here September 15th to today, I think it'll just show us a listing of staff people and how they've done across that period of time. So you can see that Anita has put in these time amounts. She worked through the weekend on that date. She's missed dates in between. You can see the gaps in the 16th, 17th, and then through to the 24th. So it allows you to ultimately see how people are doing with their time and whether they're entering it accordingly. Forgive our example, we advanced the dates on this because we use this particular version of Function Point, our Videotake Master, for doing presentations and such. So we do advanced dates, and it does not consider weekend dates. Earlier I showed you the work in progress report. It's been named the estimate versus actual versus invoiced amounts. And so I won't go back through that one a second time. But I want to point out, just as I start to wrap up our presentation, that we've been adding some new reports to the tools. And those new reports are starting to just get through some of the final testing that we have in the system. And I'll just come in here under Analyze. There are no new reports here under the job. There are no such items. Here we've got a new one that's coming for available staff resources, and that report is going to just be forward-looking with regards to tasks and the assignments to tasks. It is a replacement for the report that is actually in play right now. The current one just shows to a role level, and we want to move that forward to actually show to an individual. The estimate revision differences is a new report, and this report gives us a rundown of just changes to estimates as a job has progressed. So it allows you to see any jobs where estimates have been revised and move forward, and it clearly states the dollar values. We have here an invoice for, it says fiscal year, but it looks like it's actually going to be calendar year. If I just put in a date on this and pull up this report, you'll be able to see quickly how we're starting to provide some reports that show sales values or invoiced values by specific job types. So you can see brochure, collateral, direct mail, etc. are job types. The sample just basically shows information for September, showing us that, for instance, under packaging, there was $8,874 in invoicing, and that $8,800 represented 3% of the revenue for that particular, for the year to date that you see here. So it's a really nice breakdown showing percentages and dollar values and allowing you to, very easily see, for instance, here we have $99,000 in website-related work, representing 39% of our invoiced revenue in the current year. So a great report. We're just finalizing getting these uploaded into everyone's live versions, and we'll let you know through our emails and such with you when they're complete. Kate, I think I've gone sort of almost 10 minutes longer than I wanted to. The only other reports that are really in here are some reports that are associated with reviewing timesheets by day and by individual and by detail. And I think that we'll save some of these for our reviews as we go through October. So I think that I should cut myself off right now. How are we doing, and what kind of questions can we answer in these next few minutes?
I've been answering questions as we've gone through, so I think we'll sort of skip the Q&A at the end just because of the time that we're at right now. I'm going to launch just a quick poll. I'd like to know what people thought of today's webinar. And again, as Chris mentioned, we will be having at least two new webinars on reporting throughout the month of October. So any suggestions or questions that you have and what you'd like to see, please let us know. I'll also stay online and answer questions over the next 10 minutes or so. So if you do have some questions that weren't answered, please continue to post questions through the GoToMeeting, and I'll keep that open for the next 10 or 15 minutes or so. So again, thank you very much. I'll keep the poll open for another minute or so, and then we'll keep answering questions. So I don't know, Chris, if you had any other comments or anything to add at this point.
Yeah, thank you. You know, really, I just want to state how we're trying to up the ante on doing some of these web presentations and to help customers and the users within our customers to become stronger users of FunctionPoint. Part of that is also listening to you and responding to the information that we get from you. And so I would like to invite you through the community help to post your comments, to post any ideas that you may have as to things that we could do to improve your experience with FunctionPoint and to help us in our planning. So for instance, this afternoon, Tate and Alon and myself will be spending the afternoon doing planning of where we want to go through the rest of this fall. We will be paying quite a bit of attention to information we have that we've gathered through the community help, and I just want to please encourage you to be comfortable with that and to provide us with that data. My last comment, Tate, would be to just, of course, thank everyone for their business. We've had a tremendous attendance today, and thank you for your time, and we look forward to hearing from you by all means. Thanks very much, Tate.
Okay, so I've been getting a few more questions in here, so I'm going to kind of stay online for a bit and answer those questions. So I will be signing off on the voice side, but I'll be answering those questions for the next 15 minutes or so.
Thank you, everyone. All the best.